Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I am Conrad, and this is the 45 match week 26. Once again, looking at the Saturday and Sunday matches, although it feels like there are 700 matches coming up this week. We have a midweek 27, or midweek week 27, starting on Tuesday, and week 26 finishes on Monday. We will look at the Sunday selections. Leicester, Arsenal. Brendan Rodgers, yet again, injury concerns. This time, James Maddison. That's a big one, right? He's a kind of a big catalyst for them in the midfield. Meanwhile, Mikel Arteta looks to be pretty healthy, even with Rob Holding potentially healthy. That guy has had the injury bug for a lot of his career at Arsenal. But James Maddison, a huge miss. Arsenal coming off the win over Benfica in the Europa League, really helping mask the 3 league losses in their last 5. Lone win in that stretch, the 4-2 over Leeds. I think the combo of Odegaard and Smith Rowe in front of Xhaka and maybe Thomas Partey returning is going to be too much for Leicester City to handle. And Arsenal really need this win in the league.
I mean, you say that, yet Arsenal are 11th and Leicester are 3rd. And Leicester are 3rd with a chance to go, 7 clear of 4th? I mean, they have a remarkable opportunity that could put themselves in a great position. Whereas Arsenal, I think you mentioned that masking is the exact definition I would use, that they are not good in the league this year. They are at the bottom half of the table, and they need to get out fundamentally, because Arsenal Football Club, I don't care if you're rebuilding, I don't care what's happening, you can't be in the bottom half of the table and expect your manager to be comfortable. So I hope that there's a kick in the pants, that it was a huge win, the late header from Aubameyang, a great assist by Saka, but Bukayo Saka is carrying Arsenal at the age of 19. They need some help elsewhere. Getting it back in terms of the form of fitness is going to be a big deal for them. And you mentioned the Leicester loss that they have. And I think that without Maddison, without all the injuries, with the injuries that they have at Leicester, they may lack the cutting edge that they need to break down a good Arsenal defense. But I question that they have the offensive ability in the Premier League, at least, to threaten. I mean, they only have 31 goals scored. No one above them has less than that. And not even close. The closest is Spurs with 37. We talk about Mourinho and his negative style. Arteta, they need to get the points here, I think. There's more pressure on Arsenal, but I just see a draw in this one, to be honest.
I look at that for Leicester, though. Ayuso Perez, Wesley Fofana, Dennis Praet, Wes Morgan. That's not even counting James Justin, or the fullback. Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
I think
they don't even show him on the list because he's got a season-ending surgery.
We talk about Liverpool's injury problems because it's so concentrated. Everybody's been a center back permanently, or the makeshift center backs are out, so they have just a gaping hole, whereas there are a lot of small ones that I think they're trying to plug with different players, different positions. Leicester are, so they're dealing with their own problems, and it's going to be interesting whether or not they have enough in them to come over it, because again, this is the gulf in class and in money, because Leicester have not had the funding to make these investments to have the likes of backups that other clubs can have. So they've done a good job developing that, but now is a question of can they execute.
Yeah, I mean, the transfer business they have done has been nothing short of remarkable. Selling players on and then replacing them at a good value. Next up, Spurs, Burnley. Liverpool, Brighton, Chelsea, City, West Ham. 5 of 6 matches lost for Spurs. West Brom, the lone win. They beat Burnley in the reverse at Turf Moor 1-0. Maybe we see Bale and Dele Alli in this one in the same side.
Hopefully.
I think that needs to happen. 6 days off here for Burnley. First time that they've had a full week, I think, in almost 2 months. Not deep, and yet again, we talk about injuries. They've had injury problems. They have 3 matches coming up this week, which is crazy, and they're looking to get Chris Wood back, which is important for a side that struggle in front of goal. You call the last one a draw. I think this is an ugly draw.
Yeah. I didn't realize how bad Burnley were in front of goal. Only 18 goals scored. That's bad. 25 games,
Terrible.
18 goals scored. That's boring. This is not going to be a fun one to watch, I don't think. It'd even worse if this was the 7 a.m. one. Having to get up at 7 a.m. for Spurs and Mourinho and Burnley. No disrespect to the clubs, but and you know what? I hope I am in jinxing it and it turns out to be a great match. But these are not 2 sides that really inspire offensive excitement. But no, I think Spurs need these points because they are at risk of falling off of the even Europa League pack. Villa getting a win today. Villa getting a win against Leeds today is a huge deal for them. Because
they're level on matches played and 3 points behind Villa.
Exactly, and so you need to kind of get these results. There are no easy matches in the Premier League. It doesn't exist, but you need the points fundamentally. And I don't know how much confidence I have in Spurs' ability to do that. But if they have Bale and Ali, play your talented players. And I think Ali and Bale are two of your most talented players. Yes, it would be at the expense of others, of course, but and I don't know if I'm omitting anybody egregious here, but I would just love to see a 4-2-3-1 with a front four of Son, Kane, Ali, and Bale. And then with Ndombele in the midfield, Lo Celso, I don't think he can play in part of a pivot, but I'd like to see something different from them. Will that happen? Will he have enough trust? I don't know, because it's a big issue with Mourinho to just trust his players, either attacking or in terms of selection. So I think that they will get the points, but I think just because Burnley are in a decent vein of form, 6 points in the last 4 isn't bad, but as you mentioned it, injuries and no Chris Wood at full fitness. I think it goes to Spurs' way, but I think instead of an ugly draw, I think it's going to be an ugly win.
Chelsea, Man United. This, to me, is not close. With Tuchel at the helm at Chelsea, granted, they still have some scoring challenges, but Tuchel has Chelsea playing excellent defensively, coming off that huge Champions League win over La Liga top side Atletico Madrid, 1-0, spectacular goal from Olivier Giroud. I don't think Solskjaer is remotely close to the tactical mind that Chelsea have in Tuchel. Now, Man United are in second place, I think more by virtue of everybody else just kind of beating up on one another and them just being fortunate to be in the position that they're in. But they rely so heavily, we've talked about it, on the individual brilliance of Bruno Fernandes. If Tuchel can continue the defensive rebuild and unlock the attack for Chelsea, I don't think this is close, really. I mean, it shouldn't be. I think he may need more time offensively for Chelsea, but
I think I disagree. But you mentioned individual brilliance. I was stunned to see Bruno Fernandes participate against Real Sociedad in the Europa League. They were up 4-0 after the first leg, and you're playing Bruno Fernandes. And I believe Marcus Rashford came off the bench, or if not started. But I was stunned that two of your
that
most...
shows you how...
independent, I think, is what you were going to say before I interrupted you.
No, I was interrupting you. Sorry.
No,
doesn't make any sense. Why do you do that?
I don't think it's as one-sided as you expect. Yes, Man United struggle against big six sides in the Premier League this season, but they also are incredibly tight defensively. So I honestly expect a 0-0, 1-0 at most. I don't expect many goals in this game because Chelsea are, people compare them to Van Gaal a little bit, just a lot of the ball, but a lot of not as much incisive passing as maybe you would like to see, but instead a emphasis on keeping the ball in these first few weeks. And so I think that it's going to be a draw. I don't anticipate this being a great game. I think it doesn't have as much hype as the Liverpool-Man United game a couple weeks back, but over a month ago at this point. But I just think it's going to be one where Man United sit back. Maguire has a good game because he doesn't have 40 yards of green grass behind him. And Chelsea are content with a draw because I think you would want to get a win to leap yourself into the top 4, but I'm maybe not content is not the right word because you're at home, but I can't see this one being a particularly exciting affair. I think it's going to be back-to-back dull ones. I think it's just going to be Leicester, Arsenal, and then the next match that we're about to talk about as I think more exciting ones that bookend it.
I think I do believe Chelsea are going to take this 3-0. I think United they're second in the league in goal scoring, I think, or actually first in the league, United are 53 over 52 to City, which is by virtue of that 9-0 over Hasenhutl's side,
also,
Southampton, who we'll talk about here in a
they've conceded twice as many goals, so that's the difference.
So I think I think Chelsea are going to, I don't think it's going to be close. Anyhow, Sheffield United, Liverpool. Both these clubs desperate for wins. Liverpool loses 4 in a row. Sheffield United 3 in a row. Liverpool now 5 points behind West Ham in the Champions League spots. Sheffield United running out of time to perform the Great Escape as they sit bottom. 14 points clear of safety, 11 points behind the 18th place club, Fulham. Talk about injuries. Sheffield United, listen to this, is ridiculous. Jaden Bogle, Jack Rodwell, Jack Robinson, Chris Basham, John Egan, John O'Connell, Sandberg, Lise Mousset. That's 8 guys that they're without. And Liverpool, we know they have their backup center backs. Henderson out with a groin surgery. Now Fabinho doesn't look like he's going to be ready to come back. So we may actually see 2 traditional center backs in Phillips and K-back maybe for Liverpool, and maybe in front of Allison, or not in front of Allison, excuse me. It could be Adrian if Allison doesn't make the start, coming off of the tragic death of his father this week. I mean, a horrible, horrible story for Allison, and he's unable to travel, I believe, for that. I think Liverpool have the quality edge, even with all their own injuries, but this feels like a toss-up. Could go either way.
This, I think, you talk about injuries. We talked about it with Leicester, and how it's bad for certain teams, not as bad for others. You mentioned Sheffield United's injuries. That's all over the field, and I think that's even more devastating because they don't have two players in every position that are great, because they can't afford that, because they were just in the Premier League for the first time last year after many years out of it, and now they're trying to stay at survival again. But Liverpool, I've been stunned they've been playing Henderson or Fabinho at the back. Just play Davies when he's fit. Play Kabak. Play Phillips. Play actual center backs. Play actual midfielders, and give yourself a bit of a better chance. Stop disjoining your team. And it's like a curse at this point. I mean, you had Van Dijk with the knee injury, then you had Gomez a few weeks later, then you had Matip with the ankle, then you had Fabinho with just a muscle injury, then you have Henderson, and then according to FPL Insider, which has been a really kind of exploding thing where they track what pro players make moves in their fantasy Premier League teams, Diogo Jota moved Adrian into net for this game week. So there's a lot of suggestion there that it's probably going to be Adrian in the heart of the defense for Liverpool, in between the sticks. So
and Jota may be back.
That'd be a huge get for Liverpool.
Bench. He won't start, but he'll be on the bench.
Huge get. He has a clinical edge they do not have right now. But fundamentally, you have to win this for Liverpool. Not because of form or anything. You cannot drop points against a team that has 11 points. 11. It may be disrespectful to Sheffield United to say they should be a pushover, but Liverpool should not struggle in this match. I'm not saying that they won't. I'm saying they should not, which means that they're probably going to, because they have been in a woeful vein of form. Yes, they're in a positive spot in the Champions League, 2-0 up, going into the home leg against RB Leipzig, but they are 9 behind Man United and Leicester. They're 5 behind West Ham, who... I saw a tweet from James Pearce when he said, I remembered back when Man City winning a match was a bad thing for Liverpool. But in this case, it was a great thing, because Man City beating West Ham gives them a chance to get back into the top 4, or at least closer in that race. So simply because of the requisite nature of it, I'm going to say Liverpool win, but I have no confidence in that being the case.
They have the worst goal-scoring form of the entire top 10, except for the 10th spot club Leeds, who they ship a lot of goals. They ship 44, Liverpool 34, but that's still the worst. But Sheffield United can't score. So even if, I tend to agree. Liverpool should be winning this match.
Will they?
Based on the quality that they've got on the side. Yeah. Everton, Southampton. Speaking of the last club to beat to beat Liverpool, Everton coming off of that 1-0 win, look to build some momentum. They have a favorable matchup at Goodison Park. Yerry Mina, the only player out for certain. Ancelotti will hope to have both Calvert-Lewin and Allan available. Southampton winless in 8. They have scored 5 goals in that period of time. Another side, yet again, ravaged by injury. Hasenhüttl will be out without Oriol Romeu for the rest of the season. Also, Minamino out. Diallo, Walker-Peters, Walcott, Obafemi, and William Smallbone. This is ridiculous. Everton.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, with the exception that Everton have a very allergic reaction to trying to pass Liverpool on points or to gain ground on them. They're level on points, but Everton have a game in hand. I expect that they should win this because Southampton are in a terrible vein of form, and Southampton have gone from top of the table to creeping into a relegation discussion. So I really don't know what to call for this one. I think I agree with you on the injuries, that Everton having a bit cleaner of a roster, a bit more health there, should win, and I think they will as well. I know that when we typically are in agreement, that's a bad sign for our picks, but I think that losing Minamino is a big deal. Losing all the Romeo was very good in the center midfield for them, so I think that there's a lot of loss to Southampton in terms of form and in terms of player selection. So, I'm sorry, Everton fans, but we're both picking Everton.
That'll do it for us for Week 25, the Sunday and Lone Monday match. We will come back with a Monday night look at the midweek matches for Week 26. Probably do a wrap-up show at some point, somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
So many
games.
Football.
So many games.
So little.
That's
fun.
why there's so many injuries.
Exactly. No, they're stacking up. I mean, imagine Burnley. They have 3 matches in a week.
I know.
It's ridiculous. It's just dumb. Jack, Conrad, this has been the 45. Please do let us know what you think in the comments. Do subscribe. Look for us on the Twitter at the 45. Take care now.